Hopefully this is going to be the beginning of the final videos of this build. All I've got to do now basically is test fire it. Once I've got it running, I'm going to get it on a dyno, and it's once it's set up, start using it on the road. Now you'll notice this pipe A is not connected. Goes to the charge cooler radiator. This wire that's dangling down is the wire that runs the motor for that, because I haven't connected it yet because I haven't got the pipes on, because all I want to do at the minute is just make sure that it runs, works and ticks over. Not having the charge cooler work and it tick over is not going to make any difference to it, so I'm not bothered about that now. I've got the pipes and everything, so I'll do a little bit on that when I fit that on, just so you can all see it. Now it has two 40cc injectors standard. I've now got a set of 600cc injectors into it. So the concern I have at the minute is if I try to start it, it'll turn on, the fuel pump will prime up, it'll crank because I've put a new battery into it now, so it's got enough power to actually rotate the motor. The concern I've got now is it's going to put 3 times the fuel into it at start from the standard. Now when the turbo's not on boost, at tick over for example, the fuel map's pretty much the same as the standard fuel map. A little bit different, but not much, because it's just getting the same amount of air. It's not getting boost or anything like that. So because it's getting 3 times the size of the injectors, it should be getting 3 times the fuel. So at the minute I'm currently altering the fuel map, so hopefully when I try to start it in the morning, it will start and tick over. So at the minute all I'm doing is going through the fuel table. Don't know if you can see that on there. Yeah, and I'm just taking 50% out of all the fuel for the whole map, just for now, just so I can get it started. I'm not going to be revving it up or anything like that, just get it ticking over. Now to monitor this, I have an Innovate AFR meter. So my Blackbird, which is hiding under there, I'm going to put the AFR meter into the back of the Blackbird, see what AFR that's running at tick over, and then once I get this bike going, I'm going to modify the fuel map to try and get the same AFR, fuel ratio, at tick over. Then I know I can leave this ticking over fairly safely. Once I've got a couple of heat cycles in it and I know the oil system's not leaking and it's all working as it should be, I'll connect the coolant system up onto the charge cooler. Then it's ready to go to a professional who can dyno it properly and put some boost into it and see what happens. So this is what I'm doing at the minute with the bike. Bit tedious, but needs to be done, and hopefully it will give us the result of the bike running. So next clip should be the bike starting, hopefully, fingers crossed. So the plan is, at the minute we've pulled 100% of the fuel out on the fuel map. Try and crank it and see what it does, and then we'll keep incrementally adding fuel onto it till it starts and runs properly. So, map sent. Key in, and off we go. Try some more fuel and keep going. So we'll just keep adding the fuel in incrementally now until it does something. So we've got 90%, minus 90% on the fuel map now. Still not quite there. Try 80. So I've tried a few more times, starting to flood it a little bit, so I think the injectors I've got in the 600 are way too big. Had a suspicion that was going to be the issue, so I'm going to revert back to the 240s, fire it up on the original injectors, and then I'll get a set of maybe 400s, so when we go to the dyno we can swap them out if they're not putting enough fuel in. So we're going to swap out for smaller injectors, so we've pulled the fuel rail off, pulled the injectors out from the injector holes in there. So that's the end of the 600s. Leave it to focus, there we go. That's the end of a 240. You can't even really see the holes on that, so we hold them together. 600, 240 there. So get them swapped out. Right. See what she does for the standard. Did I send that map over? I love the fact that live data logs it while you're doing it.
Have you still got the minus 85%?
No, I've reset it, so I'll resend it.
Yeah.
Send map, sending map, so I've not got that on it now. Now we could put a little bit of ether into it, I suppose, if we wanted to. Not that I want to, but we could. Plus we've got to try and get the fuel in the air out of all the injectors in. Yeah, so it's taking fuel through it.
Does it have to have a breather? Oh, you've got a breather on that.
Breather which goes down there with the one-way valve, yeah.
You see, otherwise it just
didn't really need a breather for the bottom tank because it's got them, but I thought I'd put one on anyway just in case.
Yeah.
Right.
More fuel, less fuel?
I'm not sure. I'm going to take the camera off. So I've swapped the injectors out for the 240s. Gone back to standard injectors. And the issue I've now got is because I've been putting too much fuel through it, I've flooded it, so I've had all the plugs out. They all soaking wet. So I'm going to leave it for a few hours, let it dry out, try again a few hours time. So that's another 4 hours wasted on it, but, well, not wasted, but used up on it. So see what happens in a few hours. So I'm pulling all the plugs out one at a time, looking at them. They are a little bit bunged up, they're very wet with fuel still. The bike's not been touched now for 2 hours, so I'm going to clean them up, get a good spark on them. I'm also going to leave the plugs out overnight, so whatever's in the cylinders or bores cylinders can evaporate out, and then hopefully tomorrow first thing it'll start. So I managed to get all the spark plugs out, and believe it or not, you can do it with it all in situ. You just need a 2-inch wobble extension, the spark plug socket, a flexi joint, and then a ratchet. And believe it or not, you can get it all into this gap down into there and work the ratchet inside. And for this end, if you want, I can just get my hand into there and I can work the ratchet with my fingers. So got them all off, and they are all sort of not very clever, so we're going to clean them all up, dry them out, leave them out overnight, see if that cures the issue.